What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valera. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. As always, I am joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, buddy?
What's poppin' kernels? First off, happy Mother's Day to your wife and mother, my wife and mother, all the mothers out there. And as I get older, Mother's Day it hits a little different, and it's crazy because I'm not a huge holiday person, but I think like once you get married and you got a kid, have kids, whatnot, like the appreciation is different because when it's your mom, you're like, that's my mom. I've always known her, and she's done these things for me. But seeing your wife do things with the kids and knowing that you're a part of that, it hits a little different. So Mother's Day is a lot more special than it used to be. I spent time with my wife this morning, my mom this afternoon. So it's been a pretty good day. How about yours?
Yeah, it's been pretty chill. Like it's my wife, she does everything. You know what I mean? She's a rock star. She's just everything to me, and basically just kind of just chill, let her do her own thing. I 10 out of 10 would not recommend trying to mow a yard with one arm. That's what I did today. It was very, very hard. We've got a down household. I got my stepson with a broke leg. I got my daughter. She's got a sinus infection. She's been down. I'm still lingering. So my wife's been holding down the fort here, and she's a damn rock star for it. So it's just been one of those things, man. I can't thank her enough for everything that she does. But yeah, shout out to all the moms out in the world. All the love in the world to all you guys. We appreciate you guys, and pretty fun week. Quiet week somewhat a little bit. Obviously, the big release of the week was Planet of the Apes, which had a massive opening weekend, which good for it after the Fall Guy kind of fell on its face a little bit. You know what I mean? It didn't have as big as opening, and it's not gonna. I don't foresee it recouping the money that they kind of paid for it. So that's kind of disappointing in a way because, I want to see more blockbusters like this, more new blockbusters. Nothing against Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We'll dive into that a little bit more, but nothing against that. But to me, this was just, it's kind of disappointing to see. You know what I mean? Like we want to see more fresh, unique blockbusters. Yep. Hopefully this is not a start of something scary for the summer. But yeah, outside of that, I just got done watching the idea of You on Prime Video. I got a lot of nice things to say about that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and jump in to talk about the movie we're going to talk about this week.
All right. Another movie with a long title, but it's all good. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. Directed by Wes Ball and starring Freya Allen, Owen T., Kevin Durant, Lydia Peckman. Those are kind of the main key players. I can't see the name of who played the orangutan, but look, so people, we have this is well-known IP, and we came off a recent trilogy that was really big. I believe it was Matt Reeves that did them.
He did two of the three,
yeah, and people they love them. So with a new director, new apes, new direction, it is kind of daunting walking into it because you don't know what to expect, and you're, as a director and the audience, you're like, what's going to happen? How's everything going to come together? And for myself, I believe the movie came together well. I am a fan of the last two movies as well, the first of this newer trilogy, but to move ahead, and I think, where it says this is a forward of many generations, I know people could say that's a cop-out, but I do like that because these are apes that are not keeping track of time. They don't know how long it's been. They just know that some apes died and we keep going. But I think this new potential new trilogy or more, it takes it on a fun route where apes are dominant and humans have taken a back seat. And what do humans do when we're not at the top of the food chain? When we have a species that is very similar, but bigger, faster, stronger, and has more tools because they can use their feet like their hands, which there's a joke in there that's pretty funny about that. But I think the human aspect is great because the human does human things, like the things that we expect humans to do in certain situations. It kind of happens the way that you think it might. We have some great CGI. I mean, there's some there, and it's patchy at some points as expected. Like the birds don't look as great as the apes do, but there is moments. There are certain shots in the light where the apes look damn near real. Specifically, Noah and Proximus Caesar. There's moments where you're like, dude, that's a real ape. I don't know what they did to make this ape talk, but it's real. But the journey, this is a great journey. It starts off slow. The film, and I'm sure that's the main gripe for the audiences is the first act is slow, and it's because they are starting kind of over again, starting fresh, and there's a lot of exposition and trying to establish these new apes. But once you see the fire and the journey gets going, it's fun. I mean, you're learning about this new world as Noah is learning about this new world, and he doesn't trust anything. Like our eyes don't trust everything we see because we don't know what's going on, and learning about the past that he was not privy to, and leading up to this kingdom that is unlike anything he's ever seen, and it becomes this story of it was one of like revenge or retribution, and then turns into like evolution versus extinction, which is very interesting. And I'm very curious to see what they do in the next film, because this ape and human dynamic is a lot more evolved than say the previous one, because the previous one was we're trying to battle it out to see who's at the top. But now that the ashes have settled, what does humanity do, and how does Caesar's legacy play into all of this? Because he was the ape. But I thought it was a lot of fun. It looked great. It sounded great. If it wasn't for a slow first act, I think my rating would have been a little higher, and I still think I gave a pretty high rating. But yeah, I think this is one of the blockbusters that people are going to enjoy. I did enjoy Fall Guys, so I wish it could have that same boost. Maybe they could have had some kind of battle the same weekend that would have done the Barbenheimer thing. It just didn't happen that way. But yeah, I think the film is solid. It's a solid start. And it does make you want to see what's going to happen next. So you do want another film. So how'd you feel?
Yeah, I like the expectations are wild. You know what I mean? Heading into this film, you're like, man, we just had a trilogy. Wasn't that long ago? Matt Reeves' two films were just, kind of magical in so many different ways. And just the trilogy as a whole was really solid. I think, 3 stars or better, 3.5 maybe stars or better for the entire trilogy, maybe 4.5 for one of the films. I can never remember which one I love the most, but I think it's the second one. But Andy Serkis was incredible as Caesar. How do you take the heart and soul from the franchise and kind of take it away and build anew? And what really blew me away was Noah killed it. Owen Teague.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compare him to Serkis, because Serkis, really dove into that. It's 3 roles, 3 performances, whatever have you. But to me, Owen Teague really brings something to the table here that is just downright beautiful. And I think a lot of it helps with a well-grounded script. Josh Friedman's script really lays the structure of the film in a way of finding yourself, making up for your mistakes, or trying to overcompensate for your mistakes, and trying to make up for the many of lives that Noah had cost because of his actions. You know what I mean? He was a dumb teenager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a dumb teenager doing a dumb teenage thing that ended up costing the lives of many people and his people being held captive. But then it exploits the innocence of a young teacher with how they handle the human element of things and how the human took advantage of the kind of the rookie there. You know what I mean? Because you're right, the opposite end of the spectrum here is the humans versus the apes, but with the apes having the upper hand, it's different. It's well versed, and the key thing that I love the most about this is the movie is called Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, not Kingdom Planet of the Humans, and there was far less humans in this film that really made me happy. You know what I mean? I would expect that we explore more human aspect things in the second film because that's where we're going to go into this story. But we told the ground level storytelling of these apes and what these struggles are. And Kevin Durant, I mean, first off, we're coming off a brilliant performance in Abigail, and now we're swinging back in with Proximus Caesar, and I loved him. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was a great villain. I thought he added such a fun and unique and ball busting kind of personality, and I thought it was great. I really did. I do think that there's like 15 minutes you could have shaved off probably relatively easily. I didn't hate the beginning. I do think, but you could have shaved 15 minutes. But that last hour is so rock solid, just visually stunning. The apes, the way they look, is just it's just jaw dropping. It's just jaw dropping to kind of really see. I do agree. 5 more films though, they're going to have to pick up the pace. I do agree with that.
For sure,
I think that if we're building into a second one, we have to build the elements of. You have to open that up of where the human aspect of things. And that's the scary aspect of things is what does the second film look like? Do we get more of the backstory of the human elements of the story? Because if that's the case, then it might draw too much attention to what we're trying to do. I think that we don't need 5 more films. I think we just need to trilogize it. You know what I mean? Like let's make a tight trilogy out of it. But
because I feel like
need a backstory on the humans failing to exist in the world.
Yeah, I feel like if they do too many, I feel like it's going to end up, we're going to end up in space. That's what I feel like. If we go from this point, we go too far, I feel like they're going to end up in space. And I don't like Earth is thriving right now as far as
Hear me out real quick. All right. Hear me out real quick. We're about 5 films in. All right. It's about 2040. We got Dominic Toretto versus Proximus. No, I'm kidding.
No, and I will say too, which I almost forgot, the twist in this movie is fantastic, but also like, oh shit, like I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that's the one thing I feel like they should have sold. I mean, I know the movie's doing good, but maybe us talking about it, other critics, people have seen it, were talking about it. That's the thing you sell is that twist, because I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I didn't see it coming, and it's what is gonna really drive the next film.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you 100%. I think that's the most beautiful thing that they did with this film was the element of selling the second film, because I want more now. I want more, and I need more of this. So they did a great job of that. But I think it's a perfect transition. Dom, what are you watching right now, man? What have you watched this week, maybe the last week or so, that you can talk about that you really enjoyed?
I started the Roast of Tom Brady. Yeah. I thought people were, people, they, exaggerate and they go, oh, it's 3 hours long. And I was like, no, it's not. And then I remember turning it on and I paused it and I was like, oh, this is really 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. I got about an hour and 40 minutes in, me and the wife. Hilarious. But I was like, well, there's a few very like Tom and Bert was very like cringy. Like I don't know what they were doing. But like, I already knew Nikki killed it, and she did.
Man,
Kevin he's been great as a host that whole time that I saw, because I don't know if Kevin was just excited by the weekend or if he was lit, because he was letting it loose. But
I love every once in a while you go, "Fuck you, Tom."
Yeah. I did start the first episode of them, first episode. So I'm excited to finish the season. I think I continued on another episode or two of Knuckles. Still pretty good. And there was something that the Kevin's the Mark Twain ceremony. I watched that today with my mom. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good, man. Like
Chappelle's on that, right?
The what?
Chappelle's on that, right?
Yeah. So it's Nick Cannon, Chris Rock, Dave, Chelsea Handler, the Plastic Cup Boys. There was something else. Or someone else. But no, it's really good. I mean, Kevin, seeing all his accolades and seeing how everybody talks about him lets you know what kind of person he is. And it kind of reinforces what you already kind of thought and what you've already seen. It's really good. And I want to say that's really all I've dabbled in. I know I got sent Hitman. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll probably watch it this week. And there's something else I have to watch. Evil Does Not Exist. I think I have to watch this week.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's great. So it's crazy. It's funny that you guys say Knuckles is good. So it's funny. I'm in a group chat for a site that I write for. I write for several of them. So I'm not going to expose the group chat. But I was like, it was right before the embargo or whatever. And they were like, Knuckles is one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, what the? Really? And then like, all I've heard since it's come out is nothing but great things. Like nothing but great things. That's funny to hear you say that, hear kids say that. I've had several people tell me like, dude, it's really good. I'm like, well, good. I'm going to add it to my list.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, I feel like that's Peacock, right?
Paramount.
Okay, never mind. I was going to mix that together. I never know which one's which until
and the thing, and people that, like, my thing is with Knuckles, they're making all this up. There's no, like, this story is not, you know what I mean? So it's fun to see a fish out of water story. I mean, he's a warrior who's like, all I know how to do is be a warrior, and he has to adjust to a somewhat simple life on Earth until something pops off. So he has to, realign his focus on something else. So it's really fun so far. And man, Kid Cudi, Scott Mescudi, I didn't realize, like, I saw like an old episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I didn't realize he was on there. This dude, as good as he is as a musician, he is, I think, a better actor. He's really good. Like, there's like an effortlessness to it, like a comfortability. I don't know what it is, but he's gotten so much better. I'm glad he's still getting like big roles, because this dude hasn't been missing in a while.
Look, all right. I literally just watched this. Literally stopped watching this 30 minutes ago. All right. I'd heard some good things about the idea of You. It's on Prime Video, directed by Michael Showalter, starring Anne Hathaway, Nicholas Galitzine. I didn't have any expectations for this. I had literally zero expectations from this. A friend of mine, Gio, she loves Nicholas, and I really like what Nicholas did this year on that Mary King. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like George and
Mary, George and Me. That was it. Mary and George. It was fantastic. He was funny in Bottoms, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Very good in that. But
which is getting a sequel.
Which is getting a sequel as well. So my friend Gio, she loves this guy. And you know what? I've seen so much of him. It's like, this guy is a movie star in the making. He really is. He has the vibrant personality. He's young. He's charismatic. He has the look. He's a good-looking guy. And in this film, he's playing this young pop star who kind of falls in love with this, Anne Hathaway, who's this mom, a little bit
She's a
older,
MILF.
a little MILF, a little MILF action. But the film is just so charming and beautiful and charismatic, and it's got this good romantic comedy vibes to it, and it kind of dives into this motherhood and the double standards and kind of the hypocrisy of women who are moms dating. Maybe they're dating a little bit younger, but good for them. You know what I mean? Like, good for them. They're, in this role here, Anne Hathaway's character is reeling. Soline is reeling from a divorce. A tough divorce. Finding out her husband cheated on her. She's been reeling for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, she's trying to bounce back from this. It's been hard for her. It was the love of her life. It was the mother or the father of her child. But in this film, Hathaway, Anne and Nicholas just have this dynamic chemistry that every time they're on screen, you cannot help but just be like engulfed into what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it was the chemistry that I felt was lacking in anyone but you.
Yeah,
they had that chemistry.
It looked real. It looked real.
Like
it was the looks. It was like,
right.
You're cute. You're cute.
The sex scenes, like the pop, everything. It felt real and it felt authentic. It's what was missing from Challengers, but it just felt so authentic and so real. I love the screenplay. I love the heartfelt side of things. I love the idea of looking at the boy band and looking at these kids that become men within the stages of all the bright lights and get innocence taken away from them without even being asked. You know what I mean? These are human beings. We've seen it so many times with so many different stars and rising stars in the world of pop. You know what I mean? So this, to me, Nicholas, and I'm telling you right now, it's far and away from time, but like, this has got Golden Globes written all over it. I think it's that good. I think Anne's that good. I think Nicholas is that good. I would love to see Nicholas really kind of sink his teeth into an authentic and like a real role with a real director. Nothing against Showalter, nothing against anybody who hasn't worked with, but I'm talking about, like, give me a Scorsese, give me a Yorgos, give me a Celine Song, give me somebody that he can really sink his teeth into a role and give the performance that is really his breakout that the whole world sees. Mary and George, Showtime. Nobody really, people saw that, but that was phenomenal. But more people didn't get to see it. Give me something that we see on the big screen. I would have loved to see this on the big screen because it's pretty fantastic. But
those emotional moments, like it, dude, like, because there's the scene after he gets off the plane towards the end, and then there's one, in like the second act where it's like this struggle of like, your life is humongous. Yes. My life is very small, and it has a routine because I have a daughter, and the conflict of like wanting to make it work, but knowing that it probably can't. Those moments hit hard as shit.
Hard, like, man. And there's that, there's several times where he says something. It's like, you're just going to give up on us. You know what I mean? You're not going to fight for us. And she like, everything inside of her is like, I want to fight for you. But, the idea of having to put yourself aside, you have to think, because, you're a mom, you know what I mean? Your kids do come first, but, and your safety of your kids. And she saw everything that her daughter was going through and was willing to sacrifice her happiness to ensure the safety, the comfort, and everything in between of her daughter. It's such a good film. I didn't expect for it to hit as hard as it did, and it's one of my it's one of my favorite movies of the year. It really is. We're still early. There's still a lot of films to see, but I really, really enjoyed it. It shocked the shit out of me. Yep. The Idea of You. It's on Prime Video right now. You can watch it.
I was
saw it on the big screen.
I was afraid because when I saw like the cover, like the poster, and I thought it was gonna be one of those one-off like. There was a movie I watched on Prime. I forget what it was, but it was like based on like a romance novel, and I was like, "Oh man, Anne, what are you doing?" And like, "Oh, like there's no way you're doing this movies, but I'll check it out because it's Anne Hathaway." And I don't think without these two performances, if it was anybody else, it would come off like that. It would have been like one of these throwaway movies, but these two crushed it. Like, knocked it out the park. Because with him, he does. I mean, I guess if you have only seen glimpses of him, you might think like, oh, he's just a pretty face, and you don't think any of
Yeah,
him
if you
in
see him in
passing.
bottoms, you know what I mean? Like that's all you see
Yeah,
him. Like, oh, I saw him as this goofy jock, you know what I mean? Like he
yeah,
really, and not a lot of people are gonna watch Mary and George. That is like, or you remember him from Cinderella, you know what I mean?
right.
Like he was in Cinderella with what's her name? Camila Cabello, you know what I mean? Maybe like so many people only remember him from those type of roles, but like his run right now, Idea of You. The Red, White, and Royal Blue. That was another movie that really
Yep,
floored me. I thought
banger.
that was fantastic.
Yep,
You know what I mean? I can't wait. I'm so glad we get a second one.
yep.
And then Mary and George. I really feel like Mary and George, like that should have been like that's an Emmy worthy performance for me from him in that. And it's crazy. Like think about that for a second. Though. Think about what we're saying here for a second. Opposite Julianne Moore, killing it. Opposite Anne Hathaway, killing it. Like what is this kid is? If this kid's up to something, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I'm excited to see what's in store. But yeah, we've got a fun week ahead of us. What comes out this week? It comes out this week.
I believe
If comes out on Friday, Back to Back comes out on Friday, and Strangers comes out on Friday. I'm excited.
Yep.
We'll for sure talk If and the Strangers Chapter 1 next week. And this is true. Emmy voters don't watch Stars. Yeah, I said Showtime earlier. I meant to say Stars. Emmy voters only watch HBO. Let's be real. You know what I mean? Succession's over, so maybe they switch to Stars finally. I don't know. But Dom, anything else to say?
Since it is Mother's Day, again, just like with Father's Day, if you got somebody in your life who is not necessarily your mother, but your mother figure, show appreciation. And then just everybody in your life, if you get a chance to, you feel that stirring in your spirit, show love, man, because we're seeing more and more that this shit is not guaranteed, it's fleeting. So enjoy your life, enjoy the people in your life as much as possible, because we got one life and that's it.
For sure. I got nothing else to say. We'll talk to you guys next week.